What if I told you that a quiet evening prayer turned into a miraculous moment where Jesus appeared on the altar? Would you believe it? Stay with us until the very end, because what you're about to hear is not just a story, it's a powerful reminder that God is closer than we think. And this story might just change how you see prayer forever. This is the remarkable story of Father John Ricard, a priest who never expected to witness what would become one of the most powerful moments in his ministry. Born in the 1970s, John grew up in a time when certain Catholic traditions, like Eucharistic adoration, weren't widely practiced or even talked about. Despite going to Catholic school, he never experienced adoration, the quiet and focused time spent in prayer before the Eucharist. Still, young John developed his own deep habits of prayer, spending time every day speaking quietly to God. As he grew older, this habit only deepened. When he entered seminary to become a priest, he was encouraged to pray for one full hour each morning, sometimes in front of the Eucharist, but often just in solitude. This daily rhythm laid a strong foundation for what was coming next. About a year and a half after becoming a priest, Father John decided to take a group of about 30 people preparing to join the Catholic Church on a retreat. The idea was simple: create a space away from daily life where people could reflect and feel closer to God. During the retreat, Father John placed the Eucharist out in the open, inviting everyone to spend quiet moments with Jesus. What happened next stunned him. Though he hadn't grown up with adoration himself, Father John saw the powerful impact it had on others. Some cried, some sat in silence, but all seemed deeply moved. When the retreat ended, the group had one simple request: could they continue? This back at the parish, Father John immediately said yes, with his pastor's approval. They began holding a special evening Mass every week that included time for Eucharistic adoration. After the Mass, Father John and volunteers stayed to pray with people one-on-one. It was beautiful, but also exhausting. Week after week, Father John found himself worn out, and he began to wonder if there might be a better way. One morning, he read a short story from a nun named Sister Brie McKenna. She described being anxious before a talk and hearing Jesus speak gently to her heart. "They don't need you, they need me." Those words hit Father John deeply. He realized he had been trying so hard to help others by doing everything himself. But maybe what they really needed was not his prayers, but Christ's presence. So at the next evening Mass, he tried something new. After communion, he placed the Eucharist on the altar. He didn't offer personal prayer ministry that night. Instead, he simply invited people to come kneel and spend time with Jesus. And then, it happened. As soon as the Eucharist was placed on the altar, something changed in the room. People came forward, 30 or 40 of them, with faces full of hope and longing. Father John looked toward the altar and saw something he would never forget. Standing in the very place where the Eucharist sat, he saw Jesus, real, alive, full of love and compassion. Jesus looked at the people, then slowly turned to Father John with a gentle smile and open arms. He bowed and said, "John, can't you see how simple this truly is? All you need to do is put me here and I'll do the rest." That moment changed Father John's life forever. From then on, every place he served included space for Eucharistic adoration. People came from far and wide. The room would be quiet, but the presence was powerful. Some found peace after years of pain. Others felt forgiveness for long-held guilt. Some cried tears of joy. Others sat in silence, just resting in God's love. There was one man, Mr. Turner, who came every morning. He was quiet and never said much. One day, he told Father John, "At first, I didn't even know why I was here. But then something changed. I started feeling forgiven. I stopped being angry at myself. I found peace, real peace." Another night, a teenage girl named Sophie came to Father John in tears. She said, "I always felt like I wasn't good enough to pray. But tonight, I knew God was here, and I knew He heard me." These quiet, powerful moments began drawing more and more people. Father John encouraged everyone to invite others. He didn't need big speeches. He just let Jesus do the work. The chapel became a refuge, a place where hearts healed, hope was restored, and faith was renewed. The people weren't there for Father John. They were there for Jesus, and Jesus was there for them. Maybe you've never been to adoration. Maybe you're unsure or nervous. That's okay. You don't have to have the perfect prayer or perfect words. You just need to show up. Come sit with Jesus. Be still, be open, and let Him speak to your heart. God is everywhere, but in Eucharistic adoration, He is present in a special way, a way that many people, like Father John, Mr. Turner, and Sophie, have experienced for themselves. So if you've been searching for peace, clarity, forgiveness, or just a moment of stillness, maybe it's time to visit a nearby chapel. You don't need to travel far. Jesus is already waiting. He doesn't need your perfection. He just wants your presence. Thank you for watching, and if this story touched your heart, don't forget to reflect on it. Share it with someone who needs hope, and most of all, consider making your own quiet journey to spend time with Jesus in adoration, because He's already there, arms open wide, saying gently, "Just put me here, and I'll do the rest." What if I told you that during a moment of quiet prayer, a miracle happened, one that doctors still can't explain? A boy with no pulse, no breath, no heartbeat, suddenly came back to life right in front of the Blessed Sacrament. Skeptics may doubt, but eyewitnesses can't forget. Stay with us to the very end, because this isn't just a medical mystery, it's a story that could reignite your faith in a way you never expected. This is the true story of a young boy named Marco. At just 9 years old, Marco was a joyful and energetic child from a small town in southern Italy. He loved playing soccer, making jokes with his friends, and attending Mass with his grandmother. He had no serious health issues, just a typical, healthy child. But everything changed. One spring afternoon, Marco was playing outside when he suddenly collapsed. No one knew what had happened. His grandmother ran to him, calling his name. He wasn't moving. She thought he had fainted, but when she touched him, he was cold. She screamed for help. An ambulance arrived within minutes. Paramedics rushed to his side. They couldn't find a pulse, no heartbeat, no breath. They started CPR immediately. Nothing worked. The boy was clinically dead. While paramedics worked desperately, someone nearby made a decision that would change everything. Inside the nearby church, adoration was taking place. A small group of faithful parishioners were praying quietly in front of the Eucharist. One woman ran into the church and cried, "Please, a child collapsed. Pray, please, pray." The priest, who had just finished the rosary, walked over to the monstrance and did something unusual. He lifted the monstrance high, still holding the Blessed Sacrament, and began walking toward the scene outside the church. He stepped into the street, still carrying the Eucharist in his hands. People moved aside. The ambulance crew looked on, unsure what he was doing. But the priest simply knelt beside Marco and began praying quietly. He didn't say much, just a few whispered words. "Jesus, you are life. If it is your will, bring him back." And then it happened. Right there, on the pavement, in front of everyone, Marco gasped. His chest lifted, his eyes opened. He took a deep breath and blinked. A moment ago, he had no pulse. Now, he was alive. Paramedics rechecked his vitals. His heart was beating. His breathing was normal. They couldn't explain it. They rushed him to the hospital for tests, expecting to find something wrong. But there was nothing. Every scan came back clear. No brain damage, no trauma, no explanation. The doctor simply said, "We have no medical answer, but this child is fine." News of the event spread quickly. People from the town gathered in the church that evening, not out of curiosity, but gratitude. They knelt in silence. They lit candles. They thanked God for what they had seen with their own eyes. For the priest, it wasn't about becoming famous. He refused interviews and kept pointing people back to Jesus. He simply said, "It wasn't me. It was Him. He was there. He is always there." And Marco, today, he's a teenager. He's healthy, happy, and every year on the anniversary of that day, he returns to the church with his family, not to relive the fear, but to kneel in front of the Eucharist in deep silence and say, "Thank you,